The Climate Change Commission delivered its report today, quickly followed by claims from both the government and the opposition that it endorsed their climate change policies, despite their sharp differences on the issue. The report warns the scientific evidence that the effects of climate change have already begun is getting stronger. Political correspondent Tom Eagleton reports from Canberra.
Two leaders on very different paths. Julia Gillard and Tony Abbott agree on the destination, lower carbon emissions, but not on the route to get there. Julia Gillard's hoping people will join her battle for a carbon tax like these university students.
Good, you're studying hard? Yeah.
Tony Abbott's trying to spark support on factory floors through his opposition to the tax.
I hate to be political, but you know what politicians are like.
That looks a lot of work done by all.
A report from the government's Climate Change Commission's backing up a long string of scientific warnings on climate change.
For Australia, we're seeing the impacts more clearly. We're seeing the sea level rise that was predicted. We're seeing the decline in rainfall continue, particularly in the southwest of Western Australia. We're seeing impacts on the Great Barrier Reef.
And the report's authors are trying to remain even-handed when it comes to the political debate.
It's important that these scientific understandings and principles inform policy development, no matter what side of politics it's on. Now, if you look at the carbon cycle, it's clear that offsetting emissions in the land sector will not solve the problem.
The government says it's proof the Coalition's direct action climate change plan won't work.
And the report's findings make it clear that direct action measures, so-called, which rely almost entirely on tree planting and soil carbon, are not a credible way to tackle climate change.
But Tony Abbott says he welcomes the report.
And what we've seen from the Climate Commission is actually a tick of approval for direct action as a rapid way of getting our emissions down.
But others in the Coalition were less forgiving on a cold and rainy Canberra morning.
Today we're going to hear from a person, and good luck to him, who's being paid $180,000 a year to tell us that A, the world's getting warmer, and B, it's getting drier. And the evidence is there for all of us to see, especially you with your beanie on.
There are a lot of scientists that say that the medieval warm period was warmer than now. Certainly the Minoan and Roman warm periods were warmer than now, and I don't think that we were belching out too much carbon dioxide at the time.
And those statements led to an inevitable confrontation in Parliament.
Mr. Speaker, it is not a threat understood by any of them over there, Mr. Speaker, because at their core they are all climate change deniers.
The government also stepped onto the offensive on the asylum seeker issue today when the opposition pushed for an inquiry into recent riots, suicides and overcrowding at detention centres. If there's to be an inquiry, the Prime Minister wants it to look back at the Howard government's record.
The breakout from Woomera, do we remember that? That looked, for example, at the incarceration of an Australian, Cornelia Rao, do we remember that? Perhaps it could even traverse the children overboard affair and the deliberate misleading of the Australian people at an election.
The opposition's been asking the government for details of a people-swapping deal it's announced with Malaysia, but is yet to finalise. The government hasn't been forthcoming, but even before the deal's been inked, it's allowing it to get off the defensive.
I understand, Mr. Speaker, that the opposition is devastated that the government has reached an international agreement to break the people smugglers' business model at the same time as increasing our humanitarian intake, Mr. Speaker. I understand their sensitivity, but they'll be disappointed, Mr. Speaker, as we continue to implement this innovative and bold arrangement.
A bold arrangement for a government slowly growing bolder. Tom Eagleton, Late Line.